Hello friends, I'm Rob, this is Digital Wastrel, and in this video I'm teaching an Ogryn how to read. Despite being a very obviously war-focused setting, I've always been much more interested in what day-to-day life is like for those poor unfortunate souls that live in the 40k universe. Necromunda gives me the perfect excuse to explore this. Necromunda has a whole bunch of non-combat hangers-on that you can recruit for your gang. There is a small chance they might get used on the tabletop. For example, if an enemy gang invades your base and the guy that you pay to make soup for you needs to roll up his sleeves and throw down with a 8-foot-tall fish mutant in a trench coat. That's canon. This kitbash started off as one such hanger-on, a whisper merchant for the Dalak gang. These are basically pet spy masters, which can be kind of fun. Anyway, I decided to make some kind of spy master figure, and yeah, let's take it from here. The basis for this project were these sprues from the Fantasy Celestial Hurricanum kit. As you can see, they have all sorts of books, some robed bodies, and even an arm holding a book. I thought a kind of a science fiction librarian would be a good result of using these pieces. This is the Librarian that I've made. This is a conversion that I had half finished on my desk for ages. When I start doing conversions, I generally like to stick the pieces together with blue tack, sticky tack, white tack, whatever is appropriate for your part of the world. And I see how the bits go together, how everything looks kind of vaguely fitted together. And then quite often, because I get distracted easily, I'll leave these pieces half put together on my desk and then kind of just look at them throughout the day and let the whole thing, you know, percolate and see if any other ideas come to me and see how I feel about the various pieces. And so this conversion was, blue tacked together, sitting on my desk for ages. Took me a long time to figure out what to do with this arm here. Eventually I realised that I wanted this model to have absolutely no weapons at all, so this Dalak cane was perfect. But for ages I was thinking about whether they should have like a gun or a knife or something like that. I'm quite happy with choosing not to have any weapons. And yeah, when it was blue tacked together, the torso was sitting fairly substantially higher than it is now that it's glued together. So it was a little bit more imposing and a bit more of a serious figure. But now that it's glued together, like the torso to legs ratio is a little bit squat. And yeah, it kind of gives the impression of like a little old lady hunched over, especially with the cane. So I'm going to kind of lean into that instead of like a cool, spy master that I was originally envisaging. This is actually going to be like an old lady librarian, which I think is quite fun. And yeah, I'm quite happy with how she came out. And I will get her painted. And then from this conversion, once she was finished, I quickly came to the decision that she would need some kind of library. And if you're a traveling librarian in the Underhive, you're going to need something a little bit more substantial than a library cart or something like that. So from there, the concept of the Library Ogre was born, and it was on to the next stage of the conversion, which I have documented slightly more in depth than this one. So let's see how we get on with that one. What I like to do before kit bashing is pull out some pieces from my bits box that might be useful for the project. I have no idea how they're going to go together yet, I just think they're neat and I might use them. So the first ones are these bookshelves, which come from the sprues that I showed earlier. And I've also got a load of these little arms from various Adeptus Mechanicus kits, which is shorthand for being in the Underhive. Obviously, if you're in the Underhive, you've got a tiny little robotic hand sooner or later. That's just the way it is. Finally, I found these little candles. I'm not sure what I'm going to use them for, but candles and reading books seem to go together quite nicely. So let's jump ahead and see how we get on after the first few pieces are stuck together. This is where I've got to as a kind of first draft status with the conversion. I didn't have any plan when I started. I didn't have any idea of how it was going to look. I just started gluing bits together and decided to see would happen. I just had the general concept of a library ogre and a couple of bits that I'd picked out beforehand that I thought might be appropriate, such as the arm and some of these books. So I decided to use this particular Ogryn body. There are 2 Ogryn body types available in the Necromunda Ogryn kit, and I chose this one because I had already used the previous one, the other variety of Ogryn body in a previous Ogryn that I'd already made, so I chose this one just for that reason. And yeah, so I just started building it and seeing how the bits would go together, and yeah, that's how I like to build stuff. I just start fitting things together and see how it comes together. So as I was building, one of the things that jumped out at me was this backpack part. So normally it's got like 2 smokestacks or exhaust vents or something on there, and I noticed that the back, chopping off the exhaust vents made the top of it very, very flat, and combined with these bookshelf parts, I thought that was a great place to put the bookshelf. Really kind of changes the silhouette, gives them a nice focal point for the books, and yeah, it's a nice easy place to put them. And I did a similar thing to a lesser extent on this little machine thing. So I don't know what this is meant to be. It's like a status thing for mechanical Ogryn. It had like some dials or something on the top. Anyway, once I cut those off, it had a nice flat surface, so I trimmed off some books and a scroll, and I put them on there. So I like the idea that he's laden down with books on every available surface, and he's got a little claw here as well. And in my imagination, the claw kind of is constantly working and sorting out the books, and whenever his librarian friend wants to read something or put something up or down, the little claw will kind of shuffle it away for him, because the Ogryn is obviously fairly tall. And yeah, he's very much like a scrap Ogryn. He's either like rescued from the scrap heap or from certain death. So I definitely wanted him to be low on limbs, so no arm here, and he doesn't have any useful weapons. Like, he's not really a warrior. He's been rescued, and this is just being used to carry books around and as a companion for the librarian. So yeah, lots to do for the rest of the conversion. Stuff to do include this little part here. This I think is like a servo support thing for if you give him a bionic arm on this arm, but it was kind of getting in the way, so I clipped the end off, and I'm going to put a big cable or something going down there, like a frayed cable, make him look a bit more scrappy. Obviously, I have lots of work to do with the back of the bookshelf, because this is just, I mean, yeah, the books are designed to go against a wall here, so there's no detail at all on the back, and also there's no detail at all on the tops. It's not a very detailed piece. So stuff to do is to fix up the back. My plan for this is to use a little bit of scrap. I've got this. This is a terrain feature for a Delac champion base, or a Delac base, and it's just conveniently very good size to kind of put there. So I'm going to make like a backing, and I've also got a little bit of lollipop stick / popsicle stick / coffee muddler / whatever you want to call them. So yeah, I think I'm going to use this to kind of create like a little shelved backing part, and then have this as like a bracing detail part there. And it's not going to cover all of them, so I am going to have to get the green stuff out and put some green stuff along here, and probably a little bit on the back, and you put my incredibly mediocre sculpting skills to the test, and hopefully that won't look too bad when it's done. So yeah, obviously this is a ogre, science fiction ogre with a big robot head, and he's being used to carry library books around, so realism isn't exactly high on the menu. But I like a kind of nod towards physics. I think one of the big ways that conversions end up looking unrealistic or unsatisfying is when they look like they don't have any weight or any particular mass to them. So having the library books all just flopping around on one shelf, I think would be pretty pretty bad looking, so I'm going to build like a support thing here. And I might do some supports at the side, I don't know, we'll see how it looks, but I'm going to make some nod to an effort to keep them on his back and not have them just immediately all fall off as soon as the Ogryn starts walking. And yeah, I'm going to put another little arm here to reach the books on the top. Not sure what arm's going to go here, possibly one of the bare Ogryn arms holding something. Not sure what he's going to be holding. I'll have a route through the bits box and see what I come up with. And yeah, that's middle point of the conversion. Here we are after some more rounds of green stuff and a little bit more conversion. It's looking mostly the same as it was before. I haven't changed anything major. I've added a candle to the back of his head instead of the little antenna. I've given him an extra little arm. I think the two arms look pretty good on the range of his body, like on the top bit and the bottom bit. I decided to go with a big chunky power fist for this arm because I think it bulks out the body on this side and balances out the fact that he's got two small arms on the other side, and it also adds a bit of balance to the fact that he's got a huge bookshelf on his back. I've added some cables here. I ended up doing 2 cables because one cable I put in and was a little bit too cavalier with continuing to work on it while this first cable was still drying, so I ended up squashing it a little bit with my fingers because yeah, you should always leave green stuff well alone until it's dry, and I didn't do that, so I put in another one, so hopefully that doesn't look too bad, the two of them when they're dry and painted. On the bookshelf on the back I added this bit of scrap metal just for detail. I added 2 little supports here, and as you can see I've also green stuffed or epoxy sculpted the back of the books. This was a little bit tricky. I don't think I've done a great job. It's fairly scruffy, but there is texture there, and hopefully once they're painted up it should look pretty good. I did debate whether to add anything else to the bookshelves on the back, whether to add like a small piece of wall, a piece of shelf here and here, give it a little bit extra stability, or maybe whether to add some cable or rope or something along the front just to make it look a little bit more attached. But as it is, it's already really bulky. Like, we've got the back piece and all the books and stuff, so I think it's already very busy visually, so I don't think adding extra details would be very good. And also my green stuff skills are not good enough to add like fine detail rope, so I think any rope that I added would be very chunky, so I think I'm going to leave the bookshelf like that and move on to the painting stage. I didn't film the painting process because I don't think my painting skills are like especially noteworthy, so let's just go straight to the finished model showcase, and I'll also share some background stories that I've written for these characters. A lady of considerable years, especially in the Underhive, Granny Books is a collector of rare tomes, travelling between settlements hunting for them. While most are uninterested in such ancient texts, she makes her living trafficking in rumours, something that an unassuming lady such as herself will often overhear. Such a lifestyle has brought her to the attention of the House of Masks, who have generously allowed her to accept them as her benefactors. They offer aid, and in exchange she passes on useful information. The so-called walking library was gifted to Granny Books by her benefactors, and is clearly a salvaged ex-industrial Ogryn. As tensions heat up between the various factions of the area, her patrons wish to ensure her safety in the event that she run into trouble while they are elsewhere. Books has been around long enough to know that there are some sort of ulterior motives behind her gift, but she is glad of the company. The extra muscle has also allowed her to greatly expand the size of her literary collection. Having large parts of one's body replaced with industrial equipment makes reading a challenge, not that Ogryn were known for such activities in the first place. That said, on quiet nights out in the wastes between settlements, Books will take it upon herself to read to her companion. He seems to be quite fond of botanical textbooks, his cranial cogitation unit whirring and bleeping softly as she describes the optimal soil acidity for cultivating mushrooms. That's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. And come back soon and I'll be doing some more kit bashing coming up soon. Bye!